Welcome back to M-Files Process Maps. In this session we will show you how to add additional labels and how to fill them with texts and other values. You will learn how to use the Values section of the Properties menu to add new values and how to use metadata in these labels. A label is a text element that can be filled with various contents, such as static text or dynamic values. After you have created any symbol on your canvas, you can simply add the first label by double-clicking it. This works just as well with closed shapes as it does with lines and text elements or objects. It is possible to move this new text element inside or outside of the shape by clicking and dragging it. It is linked with the shape and keeps its relative position to the shape if the shape is moved on the canvas. If you right-click an element, the context menu will appear. In this menu, you can also add separate labels to your element. For example, if another label outside the shape is desired, or if you need more than one label by default. Each label can be positioned manually, but you also have a menu in the toolbar that allows you to determine the position inside or outside of the element. You can create as many labels as you need for your element. For example, imagine a piece of equipment where you want to label the various aspects that are already existent as metadata, like its class, machine status, its owner, the manufacturer, related processes, etc. If you want to enter static text, you can simply double-click a label and enter the text. Shapes that don't have a label yet, for example a line, a circle or rectangle, will automatically add the first label when double-clicked. But the context menu Add Label works just as well. When you use the Add Label context menu entry on an M-Files object that you dragged over from the left side pane, the context menu displays all the metadata assigned to the object, so you can easily add labels filled with metadata to your symbol. Each symbol linked with an M-Files object usually carries a symbol, one or more labels, and a tooltip value determined by the underlying object. To view and edit these values, open the Values section in the Properties pane on the right. As you can see, each element already has a few entries. You can edit these values with the pencil icon, or add new values by clicking on the plus icon next to each entry. After clicking the plus symbol, you can choose to create a new value or a tooltip. Depending on which entry you select, another dialog appears. We'll first look at the New Value entry. On the left side you find options for the added value, and on the right side a text or conditional field. In the upper left area, you will see a preview of your element, including the symbol and the already created labels. Above this view, you can add more labels by clicking on the plus icon. To make this easier to see, you can also increase or decrease the size of the view via the frame symbol. Use the drop-down metadata list to select which value you want to add. Under Item Attribute, you can determine what the properties of the new value are. If you select Normal, the text is displayed regularly. With the option Conditional, you can display dynamic changes. We'll take a look at this option later. Select a label in the preview and it will be marked with a colored border. You can now select different metadata. In the Display Mode section, you can find several additional options for the appearance of your label. You can also enable the word wrap feature to fit the text to the size of the label and change the title if needed. This can be helpful if you want to shorten or otherwise change the title, for example by adding a colon in the end. Depending on which property you have previously selected from the drop-down menu, one or multiple values may be displayed in the label. Via the checkboxes for numbering, you determine whether individual values or value lists are to be numbered. Placeholders from your mFiles system can also be used in the Value menu. To do this, create a new label by clicking on the plus icon. Then select the metadata placeholder in the drop-down list. In the text box on the right, you can now enter the desired placeholders. For example, a combination of several properties from your mFiles vault. Placeholders are typically capitalized and enclosed in %signs. Do not forget to switch to normal and click Add to create the label. In the top right corner of the text box, you will find additional buttons to format the entered text, including the placeholders. Here you can insert a bullet list or numbered list if you want to display a lot of metadata. You can also use the placeholder editor, which allows you to look up and combine placeholders, for example to access indirect metadata of an object. In the upper right corner, you will also find icons that give you access to the storage. You can download predefined placeholder combinations or store your generated text in the storage for later use. It is worth taking a look at the included templates in the storage to get a first impression of the extended possibilities of using placeholders. Of course, the content of your labels is now dynamically determined by the object to which the shape is linked to. To test this, you can use Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V to copy the element and assign another object from the left list via drag and drop. It is also possible to transfer the settings of the commands and values from one element to another already existing element. To do this, right-click on the element and select Copy Commands and Values in the context menu. Then use the Paste Commands and Values function to easily transfer the copied values and properties to any other symbol on your canvas. Please note that the smart reassignment of values and commands from one object to another will work best when source and target are of the same mFiles object type.